89. After masterminding an 8-year, 600-state legislature's war on transgenders, Donald Trump closed his dead-even dogfight for a second term with a blizzard of ads shouting that males switching to females must not be permitted to compete with birth females in sports. First, he invited 1 million Democrats that he had taught to hate transgenders to vote for him. Second, they did because just this once he happened to be right. Most of us have heard that a significant number of new women who retain some of their original male 10% power and speed advantage then used it to grab some first-place trophies. Donald Trump for 8 years has coerced, with massive money and threats, his Republican state legislature majorities, now up to 28, to keep crushing teenage transgender affirmative medical care, because all culture warriors hearing in floor debates that most all transgenders allowed conversion go on to long, happy lives, and those obstructed and attacked by parents and Republicans skyrocket suicide, think only, who cares? Ban the scum anyway. Trump will keep killing transgenders until he dies, or you stop him and his laws. Long-term research just came in tracking the tens of thousands of would-be transgenders legally blocked from teens to adults, also hurt by disappearing clinical opportunities, from their sex changes by those 600 laws that essentially rule our religion's God made your birth genitals and your emotional brain in holy agreement and obedience to his inflexible creation until you die, and the sooner the better, you godless scum. More research results also stressed in lawmaker debate against every one of those cruel, bigoted Trump laws. In direct response to the long mass removal of chosen gender-affirming care, thousands of savage, deprived transgender teens increasingly fill emergency rooms and morgues. Suicides through the roof demanded. Do you hate others and champion dictatorship? No, you would have shut me off long before now if you did. Since you love people and support their freedom to practice love their way, you must sue to remove all 600 of those anti-humanity laws now proven to force many suicides of those trapped in bodies of the opposite sex, of their psychological, emotional, apparently fully genetic brain gender proclivity and need. But how irresistible is it to whip up a 40% bigotry persuadable base against a 1.4% minority of these young, powerless, and strange? Here's what we do. Ask our humane majority to get behind our lawsuits to destroy every one of those 600 laws proven to torture, then kill masses of innocents by stealing this already desperate, traumatized, and abused little minority's human rights to survive, to live without interfering in 1 second of their emerging persecutors' and dictators' lives. Dare I suggest that it's you, bigot savages, who don't deserve to live among humanity until you are stopped from killing transgenders in you lying abuser's name of the God of love you confuse with the devil of hate. For your information, I'm not gay, bisexual, or transgender. I'm just convinced that you and I must not remain for another day good people who do nothing to stop hater Donald Trump's American state law war on already miserably discriminated against transgenders. I'm also begging for hundreds of your federal court suits to ban all private campaign finance, leaving only exactly equal public funding of all candidates and incumbents. So far, companies' legal defeat of the few court appeals to end corporate bribery of government has been their dubious argument. Since single citizens' campaign donations don't appear corrupt, they must never be disallowed. Corporations must also have full rights to fund political campaigns, as we maintain that giant business organizations must be allowed to funnel money, regardless of harm or homicide committed to make it, from rich special interests to needy politicians for special, powerful favoritism. You, judge, must grant these monstrous, inhuman behaving entities every right and all respect and equality that our Constitution blesses every single citizen with. Just please don't notice that giant, uncontrolled, or restricted organizations have a 10,000-year history of destroying the human rights and equality of us 99% powerless peons. And why do they keep winning freedom from the highest courts to destroy our democracy with ever deeper, darker, dirtier money from corporations' government takeover operation? Because you never sued up to the Supremes to stop it. What would your lawyer for the people say to the Big Nine? Your predecessor's decision for Citizens United opened the private bribery of no longer public servant spigot to the moon, because the 5 jackals, not judges, outvoting 4 constitutionalists, were vetted and selected for executive and congressional rubber stamping by, in total, $550 million in businessmen's bribes to the self-appointed Judge Candidate Selection Arbiters Federalist Society. When you clowns each morning open office doors and your mouths, out come 100% black is white lies. The Federalist Society is dedicated to selling our federal democracy to the highest bidders. Not citizens, but corporations united tore once united citizens to powerless, indeed enslaved shreds. Judge, all campaign gifts are corrupt. Poor single citizens that you power elites have disenfranchised, indeed disunited, can't afford to give politicians private money enough to compete for favorable constituency with the fat cats. Individuals live for their family's well-being. Companies demand the politician payoff boosters must be granted the same human value and rights as every father, mother, and child. Never mind the exact bribery, private payments for official acts crime description, because we made them legal. In truth, a distressing percentage of companies are thoroughly inhuman, existing and growing mainly for cold cash profits, no matter how injurious or fatal are their products to their bamboozled customers or their victims' well-being. Please read our research brief proving that big private payments to politicians and candidates, including from not just companies, but interest groups demanding, for example, that our government borrow tens of trillions to pad seniors and medical benefits until present and future offsprings and our government's bankruptcy. This payola destroys our leaders' representation of every poor unequal who can't bribe them enough. And don't blame the politicians that you tyranny conspirators have captured. They can't win one more election to keep their jobs against the wishes of weapons companies buying 10 times more campaign commercials for only the pawns who will give $800 million each year of our money for World War that has killed 15 million since World War II and is now 90 seconds from offing us other 8 billion. Read our brief proving that Supreme Court injustices. Most every constitution in the world, especially our American founders, mandates with every word government of, by, and for all the people, not of, for, and bought by the blankety-blankin' 1% big dogs. Within and between every founder's word, including Jefferson's declaration that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and institute new principles and powers to regain our safety and happiness. This is the mandate the people now describe to you that any true Supreme Court justice, not just falsely sworn to, but truly ready to uphold your Constitution and ours, requires you to kick both corporate and private bribery the hell out of public government, so that the moneyed can't keep grabbing thousands of times more public tax and rules powers than all of the modest, broke, and hungry people are allowed by your intentionally unfair, unjust, unequal system that robs us of our moldering, paper-pledged universal equality, human rights, happiness, safety, and very soon, survival. Our government says our Constitution must belong to us all equally. No longer the same microfraction of law of the jungle thieves and killers, forever crushing his stories, monarchies, and now pretend democracies. Except aren't 6 of you 9 black robes paid the big bucks to inflict the same 100% anti-democratic, unconstitutional, inhuman, indecent shit on all of us little, but just as deserving as you hotshots people? One more brief for you judges to read, detailing how American so-called federal representatives sell most of their, no longer our government's, $6 trillion budget, confiscated by force from our private salaries. They sell it all to a small bunch of sky-high elites for a mere few billion in bribes. What a fabulous deal! Actually, a bloody steal. Why must you decide for the people, judges? So you can sleep at night. You're going to need a more diplomatic lawyer. Their beefy bailiffs would drag me out by the hair in mid-sentence, my head banging on the marble floor. I'd be yelling, I know you jackals would smack down your own mothers for enough money. And the American presidency to pack 4 to 8 constitutional, decent, honest patriots into this stinking court to outvote your corrupt inhumanity. America is us, not you funky fellas. Success with this legal fight for democracy ties right into also upholding our Constitution's power of war or peace, legally given only with the people's representatives' majority declaration, not executives and weapons companies' illegal actions to initiate and fight wars the people never asked for. Where we cannot directly sue our government to halt illegal wars or war supply, we must campaign for its influential assistance of ceasefires of the world's worst wars in Yemen, Sudan, Ukraine, and in and around Israel. Then tell the world what everyone knows, but warriors deny, that war is the weapons business, proving that peace is only achieved by treaty-enforced disarmament, obviously outlawing all but the fewest, smallest defensive arms necessary. Their one remaining argument against banning all weapons of mass destruction, including everything that booms big enough to destroy masses of us, is gonna crack you up. Surely folks would kill just as many with clubs, steak knives, chokeholds, and really sharp fingernails. In the history of war, the most bestial total destruction of giant swaths of unarmed civilian non-combatants is called ethnic cleansing, easily continued after victorious rout of the opponent's army. Keep killing the helpless innocents. Bomb and burn them out of their homes. Starve them. Rape the women and drive every victim far away. Steal their land and move your own citizens in. Ethnic cleansers flush with weapons bought or gifted by foreign powers expanding influence, torture, banish, and murder entire populations judged guilty of membership in utterly evil other religions, races, and national affiliations, surely making them all inhuman vermin, deserving only misery and death. For 14 months, Gaza has suffered thousands of deliberate precision bombings of their hospitals, schools, and refugee camps. Israeli spokesmen never stop claiming full knowledge of Hamas military activities in the midst of these civilian gatherings, never providing evidence of their supposedly witnessed knowledge. No ground operations throughout areas the IDF may definitely patrol, while rarely confronted by the enemy remnants, mostly hiding underground, are conducted to simply walk into these locations, well and quietly armed, to capture the enemy they have fully identified and located, are undertaken. An enemy choosing to open fire on these police incursions would be 100% the cause of crossfire civilian casualties. Of course, the invader, however, prefers thousands of 2,000-pound bombs from far above onto well over 99% civilian targets, killing 45,000 mostly innocents in a mere 14 months. Actually only a fraction of the total killed and never found and identified under billions of tons of concrete, and dying of wounds that unsmashed hospitals with supplies allowed in, not kept out, would have healed, and dying of starvation and disease directly caused by the most massive and deliberate criminal siege in world history. Worldwide outcry and demonstrations against this full, deliberate genocide and siege starvation has long since died away out of the news cycle, and thanks to the helpless, designed by mega military power destruction of any and all international war crime or peacekeeping intervention power, the mass murder goes on with total impunity. Certainly Hamas, all war-fighting power for any objective broken, should surrender. But they reason that a winner this cruel would torture and kill every surrendering loser. In the meantime, few hospitals are left to treat many thousands of horribly wounded, steadily dying without any supplies or intact medical equipment. The thousands burned from aerial hellfire cannot be cleansed, disinfected, and debrided. When a few rolls of gauze are found to change foul old dressings, masses of maggots feasting on rotting flesh pour out, the victim screaming in pain without either pain medicine or antibiotics. Those with access left to the few remaining operating rooms and surgeons suffering from bomb-shattered limbs repairable only with specific plates and screws always learn that thousands of trucks with all needed medical supplies are permanently barricaded by Israel's government order just outside of Gaza's border. The doctors say, your 7-year-old girl's shredded arm and leg can neither be repaired nor disinfected due to the full medical supply siege, not just food, water, gas, and electricity cut off. We'll have to amputate within 24 hours before the gangrene kills her. But we have neither general anesthetic nor systemic pain or local numbing medicines. So we'll need several strong men to hold her down and one more to clamp a heavy towel over her screaming mouth. The family is not told that the amputee will get only a few weeks more worse suffering before she dies anyway. Israel plans another year of bombing, hoped eventually to force the surrender or death of every one of the remaining 5,000 Hamas soldiers. Every person in the world over 10 with more than 80 IQ knows that savaging millions of civilians like this explodes new Hamas recruits to 50 and 500,000. Every American and Israeli arranger of this permanent bombing and siege bestiality knows that 70-year apartheid planned for another 70 is not peace won by military victory, but permanent war fought for money, hate, and power. I'm not just wailing and whining. I'm asking you to work for very specific laws to end their killing and torturing power, heal hate with full world contact for collaboration, care and love, and deny weaponeers and corrupt politicians their murder profits. One man currently about to take total power of 4 more years, 2,000-pound bomb perpetuation of this monstrosity, having announced his plan to make it ever worse for the Palestinians he hates, must be held to account. By who? You know who, because among billions who do care and grieve, just one with the plan and one more ready to improve and empower it makes 2. Double us once a month, and in under 3 years, love rules humanity. Stop the bombs, Donald. Negotiate, coerce regional disarmament. Support UN aid rescue. Did you know that Israel just outlawed the UN agency whose thousands of trucks they deny entry to Gaza? 250 wars exploded by the American weapons business was not inspired by any greatest nation in history. Just a corrupt commercial bunch of bosses that can only be brought to heel by you. Expanded and empowered by our love made law to conquer all. In this Mideast war theater, 3 crucial groups of people now agree on what is happening. Israeli government planners loudly advocate or quietly cause most Gazans permanent loss of their homes to be supplanted by Jewish settlers. The Israeli army actively enforces this banishment. Most Gazans interviewed say they knew from the war's first day, and by total savagery against them since, that they were to be starved, driven out, and in vast numbers murdered. "Leave this part of Gaza for your safety," they are ordered. Then 100% of Gaza remains under falling 2,000-pound bombs. The same victims unlucky enough to survive are again being pulled, month after year, out from under tons of smashed concrete. In 20 years of war zone work, correspondent Arwood Damon has never seen such depths of hopeless, despairing, emotional devastation. Other correspondents have reported horribly wounded people surviving up to 80 of their relatives bombed to death, none military targets. I've explained why the United Nations is helpless to intervene, because that organization's every humanitarian program, military peacekeeping intervention, and UN Court of Justice order can and will be, by original design, 100% blocked by any one of the 5 military monster Security Council permanent dictators. I mean members. Naturally, every world-demanded rescue continues to be so veto-crushed by the American 2,000-pound bomb supplier, war crime-hammering, non-combatant Gazans. Not 195 United Nations at all, but 194 powerless wimps under one scorched earth king. I fear that hundreds of thousands more in Gaza will die before our movement builds our united family guardians of greater power than corrupt war dictators, themselves paid pawns of World Murder Incorporated, mega weapons sellers all. The laws we must win will destroy weapons, disband armies, and provide all needed life support of the abused and dispossessed, whether by ethnic cleansers or global warming's ever-increasing threat to billions, water, and food. Begin now and never cease campaigning and suing in all political and court venues for the still possible healing of mortally, militarily, and environmentally sick humanity. So how on earth might you rescue humanity, including your family, under terminal assault by utterly evil military, political, and corporate power? Old law and new law you win and enforce. And what's my little job? I never stop arguing for and detailing these laws of God, men, women, and children.